Amending or denying?
Okay.
It's called red tape.
Yeah. I can tell them that you said.
Notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act of this meeting have been satisfied. Please
Mike's not on.
turn off all electronic equipment as we stand for the pledge of allegiance. Attention, salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mayor Becker,
Here.
Commissioner Amadeo,
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg,
I am here.
As there are no special items for discussion, we will go directly to department head reports. Chief Adams, why don't you begin?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick notes on a few things. One, I want to say it was a happy but a sad day at the same time. Friday was Deputy Chief Scott Winterberger's last day in the Margate City Fire Department. He finished 28 years and 2 months, and he really did a great job and really had the best interests of the residents and citizens at heart. And I don't know if Commissioner Amadeo was going to mention it, but the same day was Captain Mike Sincata's last day on the beach patrol after 39 years of service to the residents of Margate. So, in my opinion, Margate lost two really good employees and good people as a whole. One other thing, we have the 9/11 ceremony this Wednesday, September 11th, 2019 at 10 a.m. in front of Fire Station 1. I just got an email when I went upstairs. The school is going to be sending children down. I believe the whole 8th grade class will be coming. And we're trying to expand upon that, trying to get more people involved. So it worked, and hopefully it's a great event. So if any of you are available on September 11th at 10 a.m., please come out. It's a very good day to remember the events of 9/11. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. Lisa?
Good afternoon. Just a few things that I'd like to point out to you. One, I'm still waiting for the final rates to be distributed by the state in regards to our health insurance renewal. Preliminarily, the actuary sent a report, and last I've heard, they're proposing for the active local plans that we would fall under a reduction of 4.3% to the premiums. So that's good news. And this time of year, we always go out and request our experience from Horizon and the prescription carrier so that our brokers can market the plan. Every several years, there's no cost to the city, but this year there would be a $2,000 cost. And I was speaking with the broker because right now, I don't see why we would have to request our experience and pay that expense, because in the last several years we've marketed the plan. We've had little to no response from other providers. So given that, along with a reduction of 4.3%, I just don't think that it's beneficial to spend the $2,000. So I told the broker that I was going to discuss it with you and see how you felt. You know, she said it would be our decision. She agreed with what I was saying, but, you know, it's not her decision to make. So how do you feel about it? Okay,
That's
so
your
we're not going.
recommendation, I'm fine with it. Mike?
Okay.
Good by me. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so we're not gonna do that, and once we release the rate, or they release the rates, you know, I'll make sure to let you know. Our open enrollment period is always in October. That's where all the employees can make any changes to their plans if they choose to do so. So once I get that information, I'll make sure to distribute it. Other than that, I spoke with Rich, and as in years past, I'm recommending that we have an increase in our beach fees potentially. We haven't had an increase since 2005. I sent my recommendation to Rich. We still need to fine tune it, and what we're going to do is make a proposal to each of the commissioners along with potential increase to our water and sewer rates. Our water and sewer rates, as you know, our utility is supposed to fund itself. We haven't had an increase since 2014, that was the last time. So there's two increases that are on the table, so, which is not significant at all. So either about $75 total increase or $100, which will take us out for the next several years before we need to do that. And I think if we do that along in conjunction with our beach fee revenue, it would have very little impact to our residents. But I'm gonna discuss it further with Rich, get everything together, and propose it to you for you to make the final decision. Let's see what else. I think that's all I have right now. Once I'm done reconciling August, probably by the next meeting, I'll be able to send out my finance status and let you know where we are, along with our budget, and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Chief?
Mayor, Commissioners, it was funny, another summer season passed us. I was looking at the statistics for the police department and I know the fire department as well. Just looking at our statistics for the summer season, Memorial Day to Labor Day this year, we saw an increase of about 9% in our calls for service. And even there was a lot of traffic, there was a lot of people in town. When I ran one of the indicators for motor vehicle collisions, actually this season we're down 15%. So it was nice to see that decrease, and this is the first year, in the last couple of years, we've been under 100 motor vehicle accidents for the summer. I know it seems like a lot, but given the amount of people, it was nice to see that decrease, and I hope to see that keep going on in the future. Other than that, we're getting ready for Fun Fest at the end of the month. Brings in a lot of people, so we'll be prepared for that. There's an ordinance with the parking on the agenda for today that we do every year. So we want to keep moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Rich?
There's a few things on your regular agenda today that I just want to bring to your attention. You know that the audit was submitted. There was an audit report made public at the last meeting by the auditor. There were no recommendations in the audit per se. You have a requirement, so there's a resolution on the agenda at the next meeting for you to pass, which indicates that you have read that resolution, and especially the parts of it that deal with recommendations and certain financial aspects of it. So it's a standard resolution, but it is on the agenda. There's also something on the agenda about a grant that we're accepting, and I don't see, obviously don't see Jim here because he's not here, but Jim Galantino was responsible in his office for actually getting this grant, which came about on very short notice, but it's for emergency management sirens to be installed for emergency management purposes only, likely for flooding events specifically. There'll be much more about it. It'll take a year to get this thing off the ground. And Jim can speak to it in the future, as can our new emergency management coordinator, Chuck LeBar, and either one of them or the two chiefs will be able to speak to it at these workshops in the future, but there is an item on the agenda. There's also an item on the agenda approving people that would have access to what's called SAGE, which is the grant.
System award grant.
Systems for administering grants electronically.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Oh, you're gonna get it.
I knew it had system and grant.
Took three of us to get that done.
It's written on the title.
I thought it was easy.
I'm gonna find, that's resolution 203. So I just want to quickly go over those names on there to make sure everybody's comfortable. It turns out from our records, we don't believe we ever did a resolution authorizing who can get access to these grants. And because more and more people seem to want to have access, because the only way you can administer grants is by getting access to this state website. I just want to make sure that you're comfortable with all the names. The first one is Lisa, of course, as Chief Financial Officer. The second one is the Mayor, Michael Becker. At the recommendation of the Police Chief, Officer Feliciano. Also, Joe Johnston from R&B, even though he's not an employee, but he's the one that helps administer the grants. So he's been on there. We want to officially include his name. Amy McLean. She's been on, so you want some people to be on there. Andrew Miles, Fred Verna, and Jim Rotella. Jim hadn't been on there, and we just got him on there, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that he was going to be on there as well. That's the names that are on here. If we want to add people in the future, we're able to, but it takes a password and a code and something that we get from Fred and IT, and I'm just explaining it because that's as much as I know about it. I don't know whether there's any other item on the agenda that you might have a question about. There are traffic regulations the chief spoke of. There's 2 agreements that we have that are professional services agreements that we're modifying so that we can continue operations this year. One to Ciota Consulting, and the other one to Barker, Gelfand, and James. Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Rich. Ed?
So I mentioned this at the last meeting, I'll mention it again since we're now past Labor Day. We're entering our construction season. In the capital meeting, I went through several projects that are going into construction. We have several others that are in the bid phase, so I would just ask for patience from our residents and businesses as we move through construction. Stay safe. Most of the contractors we have in town are familiar with Margate and know we run a tight ship. We'll have inspectors on site. So we're going to get a lot of work done this fall and this winter and have everything wrapped up in time for Memorial Day. And, we'll keep everyone updated at the meetings. That's all.
Thank you, Ed. Frank?
This week, we've been preparing for the storm that's going to come by tomorrow into Saturday morning, getting some sandbags together, chainsaws for the trees. Things on the beach look good. All our receptacles are back by the dunes, so we feel that's a safe place for them. Saturday is Surf for a Cause, the Dean Randazzo Surfing Contest, which we do help them out with their receptacles and things like that. This week we went and mulched all the schools, so you look nice and fresh, all the flower beds for the opening of the school season. Out at the ball field, we had the ball fields aerated, fertilized, and seeded for the fall season. And the Labor Day weekend this year went real smooth. It wasn't overbearing. And we've been starting to gear up for the festival at the end of this month, like Matt said, and we have a lot of preparation for that. That's all I have.
Frank, thank you. Scott?
Couple things, Mayor and Commissioners and officials. Margate won some litigation, the Two Daughters versus Harbor Bay and the City of Margate and the Margate Planning Board. This has to do with the ongoing efforts to redevelop Amherst Avenue. The court issued a very detailed, I believe, very well-written opinion upholding the actions of our planning board and approving this project, also upholding the actions of you, the governing body, when you did see fit to amend your ordinances, and this is a part of the ongoing efforts to redevelop that entire Amherst Avenue, which was pretty run down and was, after Hurricane Sandy particularly, in pretty bad shape. So on the one end, we have the 588 feet of new bulkhead being put in at no cost to the City of Margate. On this end, with the, I'll call it the old Captain Andy's and the old, I call it the Angler's Roost, brand new bulkheads that are already installed, and hopefully with this litigation coming to an end, we can get those streets finally fully repaired so that they're operational and those parking spaces once again become available. And of course, we're moving forward later on tonight with going out to bid for the remainder of replacing the bulkhead along Amherst Avenue between those various properties, which, so the public understands, these bulkheads were originally built in 1928 by the City of Margate. So it's important. We're moving forward. Ed Dennis went over the drainage aspect of it, and that'll be moving forward too, to create better drainage in these areas. I think this recent storm highlights why it's so important that for Margate to be doing what it's been doing, which is with the flood elevation, the raising of bulkheads, the drainage issues, the new bulkheads along the ocean front that we are addressing and trying to do the best we can. I know some people complain a lot about the height of these buildings. I understand that, but that's the number one way to eliminate flood damage. And of course, there's the FEMA insurance program, which is deep in the red. And as we see it, what happens when the buildings are raised? Your flood insurance premiums go down. We're one of the leaders in that area in New Jersey. So again, it all ties together. Litigation on Amherst Avenue, the efforts to change our flood prevention ordinances and our zoning ordinances. It's all moving forward for the betterment of the city of Margate. I'm very proud of our accomplishments. I'd also like to comment one more. I'm very impressed with Ed Dennis. Every time I sit here and listen to him go over these things, I think he's doing a great job. And some of the things, my interactions with him to date, look, everybody likes to get a little bit of praise. And Ed, it's a pleasure working with you, so I'm enjoying it.
Thank you, Scott. Did we get that in the minutes?
Yeah, there. Does he get a raise out of it? No raise, no raise.
No raise. All the plaudits you want, there'll be no raise.
That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Scott. Marty?
Thank you, Mike. I have 8 thank yous, and I'm going to combine them all into one. And so as you, many of you know, we go from about 6,000 to 600,000 in the summer as it relates to residents and people here in Margate. And so I want to thank the police department, the fire department, the public works department, all the city hall staff, the rec department, the building department, the courts, and the beach patrol for the extra effort and great service that they provide, and another great summer season. So thank you to those that were mentioned and to those that I might have missed. And that's all I have.
Thank you. John?
Very good,
You
Marty.
missed the mayor of the commission.
Very good, and I would agree 100% with you. It was a great and safe summer. As the chief stated, we see decreases in certain criteria that he pays attention to, and the fire department's calls were definitely up for this summer, so it tells me we had a good summer. Basically, our business community did very well also. I want to dovetail on what Chief Adams started with Scott Winterberger's retirement. I believe we're going to honor him on the 16th, is it? Or the 19th of September.
Okay.
We're going to bring him.
Perfect.
You're going to write the, I saw the email today, you're going to write it, and Joanna will put it together. And, yep, I read your email. So we'll be honoring him on the 19th of September, thanking him for his service to the city of Margate for the years that he did. And I have to also dovetail on Dan's statement on Mike Sincata, who trained both of my children when they were lifeguards on the Margate Beach Patrol in the 90s and early 2000s. 39-year career as a lifeguard is pretty tremendous. And he did an outstanding job. He trained a lot of the rookies through the years. And the products that we've had on our beach patrol, meaning our male and female guards, have done an outstanding job based on the input. And they used to call him, he was like a military leader. I think they nicknamed him, the kids nicknamed him the Stealth when he was training, because everything had to be right on target. A unique thing happened this week, and I want to thank a local family that has a permanent residence here, but also has a professional office and a house in Vineland, Dr. Michael Sarnoff, who donated a handicapped, big-wheeled wheelchair to the city of Margate, which Chuck LaBar picked up today, and I believe he put it at Public Works in the garage there. He purchased it for his father 2 years ago, and his father passed recently, and he had no further use for it, and asked us if the city would have interest in having it donated, and I said, absolutely, we can always use more handicapped wheelchairs on the beach, considering we have, you know, the dunes and everything else. Want to touch on the 911 event. Dan, you always do a great job, and including the school kids, I think, is an added bonus, because it's about the education, and it's history now, and it's a lesson for them to be learned, and the whole entire fire department does a great job.
And the police department.
And the police department. Absolutely. All our first responders, no question about it. And as far as the beach goes, this Sunday, the 8th, from the 9th to the 13th, there will be no beaches manned, and we will have 4 beaches manned on Saturday the 14th and Sunday the 15th, and that will be the official close of the beach, September 15th. Once again, all our visitors and residents have to, if they're not guarded beaches, you shouldn't go into the water, and pay attention, especially at this time of year during hurricane season. The warnings for riptides are there, and it's evident with what's going on throughout certain parts of our country how dangerous the water's been. So stay clear if possible, and that's all I have to report. Thank you.
Seeing as there's no one left to thank, we will have to move on. I've said this before, as I sit here, it's really a great place to be. If you've got to be anywhere, it's a great place to be in Margate. Thank all of you for being part of it. We successfully completed another summer, as both commissioners have said, and God bless. I hope this continues. We'll now open for public comment. Does anyone have any comment? 1 minute, right?
I have to change the clock to 1 minute. Got a 2-minute penalty for not showing up last meeting.
Well, that was beyond my control, I assure you. It was tedious. It was like eating shredded wheat with no milk. Trust me, it wasn't fun. Sewell 22 West Drive. Following up on the CFO's remarks, might I remind this commission that the inflationary rate has been extremely low. It's been less than 2%, and in fact, under Obama, it was actually nearly 0. So before you start hiking water and sewer, it should be done proportionate to the inflation rate, which would by all means not exceed 10%. You have to keep in mind that the Federal Reserve just reduced the prime rate 25 basis points, which in turn means that the senior citizens are having less interest income coming in. So that should be another consideration for this. And also, when it comes to the beach badges, they should perhaps leave the senior citizen beach tags at the present rate. Following up on the remarks of our esteemed solicitor, he was mentioning the bulkheads out on the bay, the down beach buzzsaw, the unofficial source of the news, tends to point to that promenade or promenade. Can the mayor perhaps fill us in on the status of that and who's going to pay for it and how much is it's going to cost? I think people want to know. So I would appreciate an update on that particular project. Who's picking the charge? And if it's the taxpayers, the question is why? Why? Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Any other public comment? Last chance, public comment?
I'll make a motion, we close.
I'll second.
Wait, hold a second.
Oh,
I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with the forum here. I was told that I bring subjects to your.
next meeting.
Next meeting.
The beginning of the next meeting, okay? The very beginning. No problem. It's been,
I'll second Maury's motion.
Mayor Becker?
yes.
Commissioner Amadeo?
Yes.
Commissioner Blumberg?
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene in 5 minutes.